Good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? Um, I'm grateful to have you all here for another session of your Money Matters series for 2022. And our topic today is managing money in tough times. Let's see. Good afternoon, Ms. Brenda. Just clear some things off my screen and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. About that. All right, so managing money in tough times. Right now, this might be a topic that hits us all pretty close to home, given what we've been going through for nearly 2 years now. So as you can see, this topic, I'm sorry, you all can't see the screen, right? I just like to make sure I'm not zooming ahead and nobody's, we're not on the same page. But if you can see this, our topic again is managing money in tough times. And this particular topic does not come to us through the FDIC, but rather it is provided to us by UF Extension Office and in partnership with the City of Jacksonville, Real Sense, and at one point, the Jacksonville Public Libraries. All right. So just a little bit about United Way, my employer and partner agency. Our mission and vision at United Way of Northeast Florida, we envision a community of opportunity where everyone has hope and can reach their full potential. Our mission is to solve our community's toughest challenges by connecting people, resources, and ideas. We also are striving to do what we can to meet the needs for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not only valued, but demonstrated in our hiring practices. It is a fundamental part of our mission throughout our organization and the communities we serve. A little bit here about our presenter, and that would be me, Aretha Franklin, Program and Services Coordinator for United Way and the Real Sense Initiative. I won't read through it again. It will be provided to you at the end of this presentation. You'll be able to see all of the pages. So let's talk about those who may need help in tough times, or if you know of someone who actually does. We normally make this presentation and just talk about a general economic downturn, whether hours have been cut or jobs, you're changing jobs, but the pay on the second one doesn't quite equal what you received in the first one, or you totally lost the job, or again, you're underemployed. Maybe sickness has come about and your hours have fluctuated, or maybe you're on short-term disability and of course, only receiving 60% of your pay. So that always makes times tougher. Income is not increasing at the rate of cost of living or the rate that your expenses go up, or you're recovering from a debt incurred when bad things happened. So you must decide that you want to be financially fit, which is what the series was called with the library. So that's where that term comes from. And then work ever so diligently toward making that happen. So what is financial fitness? It is understanding the difference between your needs and wants, knowing what resources you may have available, and finding out what the economic environment is and pulling those pieces together to ensure that you're able to get to the place where you want to be. That means you have to manage your risk, manage your cash and credit. You have to learn to save, even though sometimes it may seem the bill collectors are screaming louder than the opportunity to save. You must learn to save because you'll always have issues, you'll always have needs, and being able to save helps you to address those greater needs, especially the emergencies at a later time. And being able to pull all of these resources and ideas together is what we call having good financial health or being financially fit. So what we're going to cover today is the importance of managing your money, whether in tough times or not, steps to building a spending and saving plan, which we kind of went over last week if you were here with us for that, techniques and tools that you might be able to use. And I'll show you a couple that have worked for me in the past and are still kind of helping me when I've fallen off track to get back on. We do have a money management calendar, but we have not been in the office. This is my first time back in the office since March of 2020. So we have not ordered any calendars, but I will provide you with the information on how you can obtain a money management calendar, and I'll show you how it looks and how we use it in conjunction with this lesson. And then I briefly mentioned spending gaps, spending leaks, and looking at your spending habits. And we'll talk a little bit about that again today. So why plan your spending and saving? Of course, it helps to reduce your stress as to whether or not I can pay my bills on time. It helps me to live within my income and avoid debt. Record keeping is a great way to say that this is the reason why we have it. I can always track what I've done because I keep great records about my spending and about those things that I'd like to spend money on in the future, whether it's vacation or buying a new car or house or things to that nature. You can measure your progress toward those goals, and it helps you to set a good example. Whether you know it or not, somebody's watching, and if they can glean or learn something based on your successes or even your temporary setbacks, it's always a good thing to be able to show, hey, at least I've tried, and this is where I know I messed up. This is where I know I can get back on track, or I'm even keeled and I haven't had any problems, and I'll be happy to share with you if you're interested in sitting down and talking about it. So it's always, each one reach one and each one teach one if that's possible. And if it's not too sensitive a situation, that you can share with others what your plan and your processes are. So your spending plan process, determine what your values, needs, wants, and habits are, and then set your priorities. Track your spending for 1 month. That gives you a good, clear picture. And when we say track spending, we mean even if you allowed the quarter to roll under the car and you didn't feel like getting it, lost a quarter, you need to document that. If you have X amount of dollars and cents coming in, you need to be able to track where they went, even to the degree where now many people are using apps to help save. So they round up their purchase. If I spend $1.75 on a bag of chips, that extra quarter goes into a savings or investment. And so you want to be able to budget that out, because eventually at the end of the day, those pennies, those, the cents add up to dollars. And if you're not sure where they're going, it's like that spending leak we'll talk about a little bit later. Determine the full amount of your income. I'm sorry, I did skip setting SMART financial goals, and we'll talk about what SMART, the acronym SMART means. Writing down your spending and saving amounts by the categories, and then track your actual spending and adjust it as needed. So of course, what are values, needs, and wants? Values, what is important to you? That's having what you desire to have in life that you think would make life comfortable, make a good cushion for you. What needs? Those are the things that you cannot do without. You cannot do without food and water. You cannot do without clothing or shelter. So those are your needs. And then your wants, that's everything else. That's the streaming channels. That's all the lights, bells, and whistles on a smartphone, whether it's an iPhone 13 or iPhone 4. And believe it or not, I still have one of those. So of course, needs are shelter, food, clothing, transportation, and healthcare. And then those decisions that you make regarding what's valued, what your needs are, and what your wants are, those are influenced by your individual situation. It's influenced by where you live and even your cultural expectations. We do have a session called Money Habitudes, and that is a totally different, also not offered by the FDIC, nor is it offered by the UF IFAS extension, but this is a separate module that we offer, and it is actually an activity in which there are 54 playing cards, and these cards, you kind of look at the statement briefly and decide whether that is you, whether it is not you, or it depends on the situation. And at the end, you're looking to see which of these 6 categories is your dominant spending habit or attitude. Are you spontaneous? Having money encourages you to enjoy the moment, no matter what else may be going on, no matter what else you're responsible for. Let me just have a little fun while I have the money. Are you a free spirit? Money isn't a priority. Just let life happen. That means you probably don't have much in the way of saving. Maybe you budget, maybe you don't, it depends on the day. What about status? Money helps me present a positive image. Selfless, money helps me feel good by giving to others. Security, money helps me feel safe, secure, and in control. And then what is my targeted goal? Money helps me to achieve my goal. That is also called planning. So when you think about those 6 categories and you think it over, what is your style? How can knowing your money habitude help you with budgeting, saving, investing, and managing debt? How can your habits or habitudes, which is habit and attitude combined, conflict with other family members? Do you want to make changes? There are strategies available to help you achieve balance. And just to go back to that one question, how does it conflict with other family members? If you're the go-to person, if your family members are those who spend, they're the free spirit, they don't really have a plan, except that they plan to contact you when their money runs out, then you might want to adjust how you allow them to see your money, if you allow them to see it at all. We also have something called the spending decision card. This is just a little piece of paper that has these questions on it. And when you're at the grocery store, if you're looking at the different big box furniture stores that are having these sales, and right now you can get 20% off, but you really weren't intending to buy any furniture? Are you really saving? So just some questions that you can ask yourself before you make that purchase. Will this purchase help me meet one or all of my goals? Do I really want and need this? Can I afford it? What do I have to give up in order to have this? Am I buying this only because it's on sale? Would I buy this if I had to pay cash? That means you've got that credit card and you've used it so much that it's not just a smooth credit card, it's indented from the heat from your finger imprints holding it so tight. Can I really buy this, or would I buy it if I had to pay cash? Am I buying it because I'm depressed or bored? There are emotional spenders, and those things do come into play depending on what your situation is. Would I come back tomorrow and buy this? And that's always a good indicator. Do I have to have this? If I waited 24 hours, would I still feel the urge or the need to buy this item, big or small, Do I really, would I come back tomorrow and buy it if I just leave it where it is right now? How much do I owe on my credit card this month? That's a good, do I have threshold? Do I have enough room to add this one more item on there? And is it really necessary? Now, if I charge this, can I pay off this month's bill in time or on time? And could I feel better now without spending the money on the item? So these questions are on, like I said, a little card. You could print these out or save it to something and just kind of keep it. Take a picture of it and always bring it up on your cell phone when you're in the store or window shopping and the urge is pulling you into the store. Ask yourself those questions and see if maybe instead of going through the revolving door, you can walk right past it. Track your current behavior. Take some time to list out all of your monthly bills, the amount that's owed, how much, the amount that's owed, and the due dates. And then keep track of your expenses for 1 month to see where your money goes. And I jokingly said, you know, if you happen to allow the quarter to roll under the car, you might want to track that. Here's what I use. It's just a blank sheet of paper and it's folded into 8 sections. And because it's blank on both sides, this is actually 2 weeks worth of space to track your spending. So if you did this to 2, you're gonna have like 28 days, roughly a month's worth of spending if you do each day the way it's designed. So I always start my week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then of course the 8th section, I'm going the wrong way on the camera. The 8th section here, you could use for notating your grocery bill, grocery list, any income that you may be receiving. Like me, I have 4 adult children and I have one son who always wants to use my money. And when he pays back, it's more like a tip than totally paying it back. So I always write down if I have a little bit of extra income coming in, or if I spend something that wasn't on my budget, or if like I said, again, the grocery list or any notes that I just need to have about this particular week's spending. And that will help you to even just be mindful. Wow, I did not need to go to the vending machine twice today, but I did, you know. And so this is what it looks like when you track your current behavior. It's called a spending diary. And again, the folded piece of paper, keep all of the receipts with it until you know for sure that you've written every one of them down and you've totaled them out. Decide which category of spending each of those expenses fall under. And when we get into the calendar, I'll show you where it talks about writing the amounts in the flexible and occasional expense chart for each day of the month. We talked about SMART goals. You have to be specific. They need to be measurable, adaptable. That means, yeah, I may not be able to get to that this month. Again, you can ask yourself that question, that if I waited 24 hours, would I still need it? Or can I still do it if I wait 24 hours? Is it realistic and time bound? You don't want to just put something on there, want to go to Spain. Okay, when? I don't know. Then that's not a SMART goal. You need to be able to say, in 6 months, I want to be able to go to Spain and I want it to be all expense paid, meaning I've got it covered. We'd love to have someone else cover it for us, but I've got the money in hand so that when I come back from my trip, I'm not worried about having the house foreclosed. I'm not worried about the lights being off, the food, you know, spoiling and things like that. And I can go pick right up when I get back from that vacation in Spain to smoothly live out the rest of my life until my next trip. It is your choice. So when you're talking about your spending and saving, don't forget to have enough set aside for an emergency. Here it's recommended 3 to 6 months of major expenses, and your major expenses are rent or mortgage, car payment and insurance, definitely your utilities, making sure that those things are set aside so that if anything should happen, you know that you've got that cushion. And if it takes you 3 to 6 months to replenish what you've lost, you're not starting at ground zero and losing everything. All right, so spend and enjoy today some, but also save and enjoy for tomorrow. Avoid as much as possible, or as quickly as possible, get out of debt, and then write your goals in the calendar that I'll show you in a moment. You want to identify your income. So we all know the line from Jerry Maguire, show me the money. What are your wages or salary? Do you receive any additional benefits that put money in your pocket or actually save you money? If your employer provides you with health care and other, money saving benefits, then you can count that, because of course on your W-2, it will all be built back in. Tips, if you're in that kind of setting where you receive a tip just for your kindness today. I know in some professions that's taboo, so I won't stay too much on that. Do you receive commissions? Are you in the gig economy? Maybe you're a realtor part-time in addition to what you're doing in the healthcare field. So you want to make sure that you're accounting for every dime and dollar that comes in. What if you're starting out for the first time, this is your first job, and you really have not received that first paycheck, so you don't know how much money you're going to get. So plan with what you know. When you apply for the job, they said potential $15 an hour, and I know I'm lowballing for some, with a $1,000 signing bonus, but you've got to be there 6 months before you get that $1,000. So, you know, you want to plan with what you do know. And if it varies, use an average or use the lowest amount. It's better to err on the side of not planning to spend more than you receive than, you know, spending it all and then getting a lower amount. So again, write your monthly income in the calendar. That calendar must be great, right? I've said it like 12 times since we started, so I promise to get to it in a moment. Get organized with your expenses. What are the fixed expenses? Which ones are flexible? Which ones are periodic or occasional? Write them down, better than just thinking about it, and get in the habit. The shortest pencil is longer than the longest memory. I heard it also said this way: I would rather trust my short pencil than my long-term memory any day, because even with my long-term memory, I'm subject to forget something that is very important. So get in the habit of writing down what you spend as well as what you have coming in, so that you can keep your mind geared to helping you get to the goals, or at least staying organized financially. So when you're writing your goal, your spending and saving plan, you're talking first about fixed expenses. Again, those are the ones that do not change. They're the same month to month. Maybe they increase, rarely do they decrease once you get started. So it's either rent or mortgage, it's your utilities, and it's your debt payments, whether credit card or car and car insurance. Now, your flexible expenses, those are the ones that can change from month to month, depending on your desire for fast food 3 nights a week versus maybe once a month. Personal care items. I changed my hair care product and I use one line, and they've got like 13 different products, and yes, I have all 13. So I know what my budget is for my hair care products. What about clothes? Do you shop monthly for new clothes? Do you do the seasonal, you know, winter, summer, spring, fall kind of thing? Or what do you average for your clothing? You want to make sure that you're able to keep track of that. Add the amount for what your goals are, and then make sure you also add the amounts for your expenses. Identify those expenses that you do annually for occasional. So we're talking birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, if that's your holiday of choice. add the total of each one and divide it by 12 to get your monthly amount, and then save that in your what's called the put and pull account. So if you've got a savings account, one that's locked and you have no intention of touching it, that's great. Make sure you put something in that on a regular basis. But if you have this one where it's an occasional account, meaning I know for me, 4 kids, 7 grandkids, and I know what amount I gift to each of them for their birthdays and for Christmas. So I put that amount, add the total together, divide it by 12, and each month I'm saving that equal amount so that when it's time to start doling out the gifts, they've got it and it's not hurting me for my future, my current and my future expenses. So once you've done that, you've taken your income, listed it out, you've taken all of your expenses. Are you on the positive side, meaning you did real good to make sure you had a little bit extra, or are you negative? Are you overspending? There was a term that they used to say, keeping up with the Joneses. Are you one who keeps up with the Joneses? Are you the Joneses that everybody's keeping up with? Or are you low key and you know exactly where your funds are? So when it's time to take that vacation, there's no stress, there's no trying to play catch up. You're not having to borrow from Peter to pay Paul so that you can take this vacation and then start the process over again when you get back. If it's positive, decide how you will spend or save the extra so it doesn't disappear. If it's negative, make the hard choices now and avoid long-term debt. And that simply means, again, canceling those, we'll see that in a minute, canceling your streaming services that you're really not using, those magazine subscriptions. The first time you signed up for the magazine subscriptions, you saw some pictures in it that you wanted to cut out and put on your vision board. You forgot to cancel the subscription, but you've had it now for 2 years, but you only wanted that one magazine. So it lends to the fact that you're giving away money that you could actually be using for your own household. How do you increase your income? If you've got teenagers who can babysit or dog walk or wash cars, those kinds of things, encourage them to take that time, that energy to help make money. And then that will help you to save a little bit of money because you're not always having to dole out when they want to take the car for a joyride or whatever things teenagers do. It's been a while, and thankfully my teenage grandchildren are not in my home. They don't drive my car. Volunteer whenever possible to work overtime. Just don't work yourself into a tizzy where you're unable to function in your life. You want to be able to work for your income, but you also want to enjoy what you've worked for. Do what you can to prove your worth. Now, that doesn't mean, run behind your supervisor and, sweep the floor in front of them and, serve coffee or anything like that, but simply excel in your craft, excel in your position, and potentially get a raise. We know that they don't do raises every payday. We know that in some instances, we're hopeful to get the raise annually, but do what you can to prove your worth. If necessary, find a better job, or maybe even just get a second part-time job. With so many work from home situations, phone calls, or mailings and things like that, it's a lot easier now than it used to be. But there's also the issue of COVID and what they're paying to hire. So you'll have to weigh the need versus the desire to get that second job. For anyone who's an empty nester and is looking to just kind of relieve the stress, consider a roommate or a housemate, but make sure it's someone that like, and trust. All right, another way to increase income, and I mentioned this last week, getting new licenses in your field, degrees or certification. It may require you to spend a little bit more money to make that money, but the investment in you will never be unnecessary, and it will always pay off in the long run if that's what you choose to do. Look at your personal exemptions on the W-4 forms that you submitted to your employer. If you are a household of four, you, your significant other, and two children, but your W-4, you've got the number 8. That means the higher the number on that W-4, the fewer taxes they're taking out through the year, which means when it's time to file, you're going to more than likely have to pay back a big tax bill. The lower the number on your W-4, the more they take out during the year. And when it's time to file, you're more likely either to break even or to receive a refund. So if you weren't aware of that, that may be something to consider at this time. Look at your potential tax deductions, child tax credits, earned income tax credit, depending on the level of income that you receive throughout the year. And are you paying dependent care for any children or grandchildren, or adult daycare for parents or grandparents in the home? Make sure you save the fee that it takes to file your taxes. Get your taxes prepared for free, or you can even amend previous returns if that's necessary, which is also filed for free by calling RealSense. And you can reach out to them by calling 211 and they will schedule your appointment. We want to look at ways to decrease expenses so you can simplify, you can learn to share, substitute, or even conserve energy. JEA is great about showing how you can save money on your energy bill by keeping your thermostat at 68 in the winter months, and I think I'm saying it right, 68, no higher than 68 in the summer months, no lower than 78 in the winter months. Yeah, I think I got it backwards. But anyway, JEA can tell you better than I can. So how do you simplify? You can reduce or eliminate spending on the wants, barter or trade services and time. Find a cheaper way to do things. Cheap doesn't necessarily mean it's not worth the effort. It simply means that you're finding a more economic way of doing things. Save the earth and your money through energy conservation, and look at ways that you might be able to change your fixed expenses, your car insurance at a certain point, 3 to 6 months in, maybe shop around for a cheaper premium. And that will help you to save. And then don't just see those savings as, oh, it's time for me to spend. Look at ways where you can pay down your debt even further. The recent weather isn't helping my goal. I'm with you on that, Ms. Bernice. Oh, I'm sorry. I got excited and went too far. All right, more ideas. Managing in tough times. We have some handouts. What I'm going to do is email this information to you all as I did last week. But it also gives you some ideas on freeing up money from those different streaming services. Are you paying extra for lights, bells, and whistles on your cell phone? Maybe find a way to conserve or save some of the photos so that you're not spending extra on gig speed and space, save on space on your phone. I'm tongue-tied. I always get that way at the end of this. When you're paying your bills and banking, you want to look at ways for saving. So you're not spending on money orders and prepaid cards. You're using the services that are free to your through your bank or credit union. Again, shop around for less expensive car insurance, but make sure it still gives you the benefits that your original insurance policy provided. Transportation, it would be great to own I've always wanted a BMW X5 because it's got 3 rows of seats and it's a luxury car. But when you're paying for those names, you're also paying so much more just to service them. So right now, I've got a nice little Nissan Versa, and what I pay is like $29 for oil change. If it were a BMW, it'd be at least 3 to 4, if not 5 times higher. Food, are you one who can cook from home, does cook from home? You're saving money. If you're constantly going out, dinner for two, I can honestly say, since my aunt moved in last year, dinner for two on Sundays at her favorite restaurant runs us almost $40. That $40 could do a whole lot more in my home, but she's 80 and that's what she wants. So I give it to her. So now I've got to find a way to balance that and look at other things to save money. Do things that are considered frugal, family fun. So having movie night at home. I started that with when it was just my two sons and I. We would have a theme night where I'd cook a specific meal and we watch a movie on a DVD or just whatever's on regular television. And that was always great. So if you can think of any other ideas, phone, internet, TV, clothes, household, or even medical, I'll share the one about TV. You've probably seen the commercial for the clear TV antenna. The guy is out on a boat and got a simulated picture on a TV. They advertised this little bitty antenna that's got the rabbit ears for about $19.95. And then they say, but you can get a second one if you just pay the additional shipping and handling. So I looked it up one day on the internet and I was like, wow, that comes to about $45. I was like, that ain't in my budget right now. And it just so happened right after I did that search, I ran to Walmart to get something. And they now have this as seen on TV section. And what did I see in the as seen on TV section, but that same clear TV antenna for $14.95. I saved $5 on the item. I was my own shipping and handling, so I didn't have to pay that, but I only bought one because at the time I only had one TV. So now every TV in my house has clear TV, and as long as it's not raining and the picture isn't digitizing, I can watch as much Ion television or Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune as I can stand until I doze off. All right. So do you have a spending leak? If so, how much is it costing you? And I know this one will probably hit us all a little bit hard. How often do we have lunch out? If it's daily, and you know these numbers are way off, right? Who's only paying $8 a day for lunch? Weekly would be $40 because it's 5 days a week. Monthly, that comes out to $160, and annually, $1,920. A vending machine snack, $2. I went and looked at our vending machine just in preparation for this, and I think the cheapest thing in there is nearly $3. So I need to adjust these numbers to, but just for the sake of this example, $2 daily, $10 weekly, $40 monthly, and $480 annually. Just add those two up and you're looking at $2,400. Yeah, my math is pretty good. $2,400. What could you do with an extra $2,400 a year? And look at how little expenses add up. You buy a Coca-Cola a day, whether you buy it from the vending machine. Here it says $1 a day. The other screen was $2 a day. You're spending $260 if you buy it from the vending machine. But if you catch it at the store on sale, you're looking at maybe 42 cents a day, which is $105 a year. The difference is $155, right? I see that, Olga. Wow. So cut it out if you can. Some of us are addicted to the caffeine and the brown stuff. Reduce the frequency or find a cheaper way. The long-term cost of my habit. Now remember that was, what did we save? $155, all right, per year. So what if we invested that with a 7% interest yield at 5 years? You've invested $775. You've earned $179 with the 7% interest. So you've saved $954. It says in 30 years, you will have saved $7,000 $262. I can tell you right now, I would be credit card debt free and happy about it and still have some change from my pocket or my savings account. So what could you do with that extra money? The long-term cost of those snacks that we talked about, $2 per day or $60 a month, invest that at 7% for 7 years. How much are those daily snacks costing you? $157,489. It hurts. I can't leave that on the screen too much longer. So how much should we spend? On average, Americans spend the following percentages of their income in each category: food, 13 to 15, housing, 32 to 42, and so on and so on and so on. So let's look at what we should be spending. Divide how much you spend by the amount you take home. So if rent, I don't know where we're going to find rent for $450 a month, but if you divide that by $1,200, that's your income that you take home, that equals 37.5%. Now multiply that answer, or 3.375, multiply that answer by 100 to find the percent, which is 37.5%. Is this the percent in the range for housing? And we'll go back. It is, because they suggest that 32 to 42% of your income should be spent on housing. Here, you're almost right down in the middle of that. All right, let's talk a little bit about the calendar. I want to make sure we get that in. This calendar is from 2019, 2020. As I said, we weren't able to buy them before, but you can see they come from the UF IFAS Extension Bookstore. And the picture's different each year and the year changes. And it is listed daily. Oh my gosh. I should have practiced this part. You all forgive me. So here is where we were talking about the flexible and occasional expenses. But as you can see, for January, it lists from the 1st to the 31st. And it gives you some categories to look at. Food and supplies, clothing and personal, transportation, etc. Remember, these are the ones that can change or that you can budget out over the course of the year. And then you get the totals for the categories at the bottom, as well as the totals that you spent each day. And the more that you track that, the better your budgeting technique becomes. Now, in the calendar portion itself, which is kind of what you see on the screen in the presentation, you see where it shows you how much your rent is, when your utilities are due, when your phone is due, and then the other things that you may have paid for: groceries each Saturday, you got a haircut on Friday, you got paid, hallelujah, on the 6th and the 20th. So it's just a visual to help you to see when the money will come in and when it needs to go out. And I always recommend that you put it somewhere where it'll catch your eye when you're coming in. So if it's in your bedroom or your master bathroom, where you and only you and your family can see it. And make sure that it's something that even the children can see, so that they begin to understand not just what you have to do to make the household run, but if they see you practicing this same technique when they're older, it'll just be second nature. And look, you've already helped 2 generations to do better with your money. So you're using the monthly calendar, you write your bills in the calendar booklet and keep the hard copies in the booklet for safekeeping if you're still receiving those hard copies. Depending on your method of payment, plan to pay your bill at least 2 to 3 days in advance. More time may be needed if the bill is due on the weekend or Monday, especially if you're still writing checks and mailing them in. But most of us now are doing online bill pay, or they're taken out of our checks, out of our accounts. If you're not doing it automatically, make sure you give yourself at least 24 hours before it's due, to allow for the communication between your bank, that computer, and your creditor's computer. That way you don't incur any late fees or run into any like nearly being disconnected or the threat of eviction filing or foreclosure. I say that kind of haphazardly, and I don't mean it to seem like I'm minimizing that issue, but you just want to keep that in the forefront, that it's always better to get ahead of it than to try to play catch up. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. Match up the timing of your income with the due dates of your expenses. Do you have a cash flow problem? Occasionally your vendors, creditors, etc., they will allow you to change the due date. They know that life happens. And so maybe your bill is due on the 15th, but on this particular pay period, you had to take some time off. And so your check is going to be short. Just let them know when they can expect the next payment. You may incur some additional late fees, but you won't have to deal with the harassment of the phone calls and potentially losing service or things like that. Save some money if possible from your previous paycheck so that you can pay that bill on time. Review and revise, add up the amounts in the flexible expenses, add it up in the fixed expenses, add those amounts together, and then subtract the total expenses from your income. And then ask yourself this question: did you stay within your plan? Did you go over? Did you spend less? Why? And either whatever you answer, why do you feel like you went over? What did you overspend on? Or why did you spend less? And is that a good thing? And what did you do with the extra? Every now and then it's okay to, treat yourself, but you don't want to always find that at the end of every month, because you found an extra $20 in your jeans after laundry day, that this means it's time to go spend. Think about it and then make the adjustment. Again, on the review and revise, set a monthly money date. What does that mean? As you see the picture of the family there, everybody is sitting at the table. And while the kids are saying, look, I want to do X, Y, Z, I want this Xbox or whatever, Wii or whatever electronic device, or the iPhone 13 because it's got 3 cameras. I just have to have this. Have every person understand that this is what it takes to make the household function, where we don't ever have to worry about eviction or foreclosure or lights being shut off or not being able to eat. Here's what's left, if any, and if it's not, how can we as a family work together to build our savings? All right, did you save the amount that you need for your occasional expenses, or an emergency fund for your goals, again, such as vacations? Maybe your brother in Tallahassee is getting married and you have to stand up for the 3rd time. You've got to have the tux or the dress, whatever. Are you planning for those things? Did your situation change? Is everyone in the family still committed to making this work? Was the plan realistic? Was it too easy? Or was it too much of a stretch? It's good to stretch beyond your comfort zone, but if you're feeling a pull that's greater than you can handle, revise and make it a little bit less strenuous. Are you building wealth? Are you decreasing debt? If not, and there's help available, you can meet with a financial counselor. You can also meet with a money coach. A money coach does not tell you how to spend money. They simply kind of help you to look at your decisions before you make the purchase. All right, and our partner agency is Family Foundations. The number is there, as well as the website. And again, you'll get a copy of this presentation. It does take time to make behavioral changes. We just encourage you to stick with it. You didn't get into debt overnight. You didn't build the wealth that you have overnight. So just know, as long as we're in this robe of flesh, we're going to have a process to go through. And depending on the day and time, things can change at the drop of a hat. So just don't beat up on yourself, but don't over celebrate and miss the mark. All right. At the end of the year, enter your total amounts for your fixed and flexible. And this is going back to the calendar. There are some tax deductible listings that you can put on the calendar. It's kind of hard to see that. I use the note section where most people would find it convenient to put phone numbers and things like that. These are the places where I put the birth dates of the kids and grandkids, and then I put how much I'm going to share with them, and then I know exactly how to divide that by 12 to put it away. So just seeing a visual tool really does help. Were you over or under budget in your amount? Calculate your average monthly amounts for the year and use that as a starting point for next year's plan. Enter any tax deductible expenses on the back as I showed. You can contact the UF Extension bookstore for a new calendar, and I'll provide the link for that. You can purchase financial calendar software. There are even some free options on if you Google search for that. Or you can try www.mint, M-I-N-T, or any other mobile app. Again, if free is what you need, then definitely search for that. So I've done a lot of talking. And here's what I hope that I've given you some insight on, or at least, awaken the memories for you. And so we talked about the importance of managing money, steps to building a spending and saving plan, a few techniques and tools. There are many more out there. I'm not the expert, but the ones that work for me are the ones that I share with you all. Using a calendar to track your expenses, and then taking a look at those spending gaps, leaks, and habits. At the end of each session, I always ask if you'll go to your chat and just provide a little insight. If you would rate my presentation style today, rate it from 5 being excellent to 1 being poor. Was the training engaging and interesting? Did you find something that you might be able to take away or share with someone else? Do you plan to apply what we discussed to your financial life? If you had to suggest any improvements for this workshop, what would those be? And would you recommend this workshop to anyone else? And lastly, there are 3 more topics to be presented in this series in as many weeks. And I look forward to seeing you, or at least presenting to you. Today I have 2 screens, but I still can't see anybody. So hopefully, again, of the 35 of you that are online, there was something that was said or shared that you all might be able to take away and build your financial stability on. Thank you so much for being here. All right, Ms. Karan, you can stop recording.